It's 8 p.m. and here are our top stories in 90 seconds. Never before seen video of the insurrection at our nation's capital.
The second man through the window is wearing full tactical body armor and is carrying a baseball bat.
House impeachment managers work their way through evidence, painting former President Trump as the main culprit.
Our president couldn't be bothered to even mention that help was on its way.
What we expect tomorrow as the defense waits to take the floor. An unexpected dusting of snow this morning in the metro.
And I kind of just looked out my kitchen window and I noticed that it was snowing, which was weird.
How nearby industrial plants played a role. A man with a traumatic brain injury hasn't been seen in days. His family is not giving up hope.
Call me. Call Dad. We're here to help. We love you to death.
Plus, what goes into inspections to make sure Colorado businesses are 5-star certified?
In the event that there's another spike in COVID, the 5-star is giving the opportunity to not have to shut down.
We follow along with an auditor to check what's being done to keep you safe. And coming up later, a noisy nuisance in picturesque Colorado.
It's a town that's really divided into two pieces.
We look at the crazy plan to change the way I-70 runs through Vail.
Maybe someday when we come across a rich uncle, we'll dig a hole. Who knows, right?
Good Wednesday evening, and thank you for watching Denver7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter. We start with our top story out of our nation's capital. Democratic House impeachment managers sharing never-before-seen footage of the riot at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. In it, you see lawmakers being led one by one to safety. At one point, Officer Eugene Goodman is seen directing Senator Mitt Romney to safety. Impeachment managers will continue their testimony tomorrow at 10 our time in Washington, D.C. Then on Friday, and possibly Saturday, former President Donald Trump's legal team will take the floor. Here is ABC's Faith Abube with a recap of today's proceedings.
Never before seen video playing in the Senate chamber on day 2 of former President Donald Trump's second impeachment trial.
And so they came, draped in Trump's flag, and used our flag, the American flag, to batter and to bludgeon.
The chilling and terrifying footage showing lawmakers just feet away from Capitol rioters on January 6th.
You were just 58 steps away from where the mob was amassing.
That mob intent on finding the House Speaker.
Nancy! Where are you, Nancy?
And Vice President Mike Pence.
Hey, Mike Pence! Hey, Mike Pence!
Capitol police officers seen running to the rescue, rushing lawmakers to safety. In another scene, the insurrectionists banging on an office door. On the other side, congressional staffers huddled in fear, whispering for help.
They're pounding the doors trying to find her now.
The impeachment managers methodically laying out their case in chronological order, arguing that Trump's betrayal of his oath of office began long before the deadly insurrection.
He fanned the flame of violence, and it worked.
And when the violence began, the House impeachment managers saying Trump did not stop it.
Instead, he served as the inciter-in-chief.
The impeachment managers appealing directly to the senators. Witnesses of the attack now seated as jurors. Some Republican senators calling the Democrats' presentation compelling.
Just a very powerful video.
I'm angry, I'm disturbed, I'm sad.
Trump's defense team ready to make their case once Democrats wrap up their opening arguments tomorrow.
We can't possibly be suggesting that we punish people for political speech in this country.
And while some Republicans appear moved by today's presentation, Democrats were still a long way from getting 17 GOP senators to vote to convict Trump. Faith Abube, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Thank you, Faith. We continue to look through your 360 comments on the impeachment trial. Chris emailed us saying, quote, "We need to impeach Trump because not only did he break the law as the highest influence of this country, but the way he made us look to the world." But Richard shares quite a different opinion. He says, quote, "Trump did wonders for this nation, and the only reason for this illegal impeachment was because of tremendous professional hate for a non-politician." You can continue sharing your views. Email 360@thedenverchannel.com. Concerned residents living near the SUNCOR refinery in Commerce City are getting a chance to speak up. CDPHE is holding a public meeting tonight as part of a permit renewal process. The refinery is required to renew its air pollution permit every 5 years. Part of that process includes asking the public for comments or concerns. In the past, residents living near the plant called for tougher regulations, and tonight things were no different.
I'd like to see SUNCOR's permit renewal denied due to multiple violations, but I heard earlier on that that's just not going to happen. So if it isn't just denied, I'd like to at least see much tighter and stringent regulations imposed.
SUNCOR's refinery in Commerce City is the only major petroleum refinery in Colorado. It's also the state's main source of asphalt. Now, some of you woke up to a layer of snow on the ground in the metro, and if it was a surprise to you, well, it was the same for us. It was so-called industrial snow. The steam from the SUNCOR and nearby refineries near Commerce City turned to snow in our frigid temperatures. Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson joining us now. Mike, that industrial snow, probably not something you want to make snow angels in.
Probably not, Jessica. We'll have more cold temperatures coming up for the next couple of days, and we're actually just on the edge of the really cold air. Let me show you what's happening right now over the city. 15 at Commerce City, 12 at DI, 11 at Keensburg, but it's still 31 up at Georgetown, and at Dumont it's 34 degrees. And across the state, 5 degrees in Sterling, but 38 degrees at Grand Junction, and even at Salida, 37. The cold air holding on the eastern plains. There's a little bit of snow showing up in the mountains, not very much, but here are the headlines coming up for the next few days. Bitter cold for the end of the week, a chill for Valentine's Day. Light snow will come back to the metro area, and on the eastern plains side, some areas of freezing fog. More details in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Mike. Nearly a week has passed since 58-year-old Robert Gotch escaped a rehab facility in Castle Rock. His brother tells us he appears normal, but his well-being is in danger without his medication. Denver7's Addie Guajardo spoke with Robert's family, who are hoping for the best.
This is the man Brad Gauci looked up to.
He was on top of the world.
His older brother, 58-year-old Robert Gauci.
My best friend. And a confidant.
A man with a successful career.
He had life under his hands. An incredible, loving wife and 2 kids. And the addiction completely took over.
It started with pills, then alcohol.
He was admitted to the local hospital and he blew a 4.8, which is deadly.
Brad became the caretaker and power of attorney of his older brother last year, while Robert worked to get his life on track.
He has contracted a disease. It's called Wernicke-Korsakoff, WKS, and that disease is a disease that is caused by alcoholism.
It's a neurological disorder that causes confusion, amnesia, and impairs short-term memory.
Couldn't remember his kids' names.
Last year, Robert was admitted to a hospital in Lone Tree.
He relapsed.
He was then transferred to a lockdown rehab facility before ending up in Silver Heights Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation in Castle Rock. Brad says his brother was at this rehab facility for only 3 days when he escaped.
I've been a nervous wreck.
He says a staff member saw him run across the field and across I-25 on February 4th, just before 8 p.m.
He needs medication. Desperately.
Video shows Robert crossing an intersection. He was last seen inside King Soopers off Promenade Parkway in Castle Rock.
He would never have been transferred here if I would have known that it was not a 100% lockdown facility.
Brad fears the worst as time ticks away and searches lead to dead ends. It's why he's begging people to help him find his brother and best friend before it's too late.
Rob, we love you to death. Please call me. Call Dad.
Robert was last seen wearing a brown leather jacket with jeans. His brother says they won't stop until they find him. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Douglas County Sheriff's Office detective. You'll see that phone number on the bottom of your screen, 303-784-7810. In Castle Rock, Addie Guajardo, Denver 7.
Addie, thank you. The murder trial on the case of Kelsey Schelling is now on hold until February 24th. The Pueblo Department of Health says there was a positive COVID case from the trial. Schelling was 21 and pregnant at the time she disappeared 8 years ago. Her then boyfriend, Dante Lucas, is now on trial for her murder. Testimony in the case began last week. Another 28,000 people received a dose of the COVID vaccine in our state yesterday. By this time tomorrow, there could be 250,000 Coloradans who are fully vaccinated.
I want to start out the survey by pointing out that today we are in yellow.
What does it take for a business to gain 5-star certification? We take you inside the process.
For us, it wasn't that big of a deal to make sure that we had hand sanitizers and the signs up.
What is being done to keep you safe?
Yeah, it's going to be a cold one tonight, but trust me, you haven't seen anything yet.
Try to take you down, but just remember they can take your joy.
And coming up later, putting a new touch on an old sound. The Colorado-based group creating the future of funk and inspiring a younger generation in the process.
Positive energy in this, future funky world that we're trying to create.